Hi there, welcome to Social Media Help Desk. I'm Katie Wagner, and this is the time every week when we get together to talk about social media, changes that are coming to the channels, and all the tips and tricks that we're using around the agency to get the best results for our clients. So I'm here today with one of our web designer and developers, Billy.
Howdy.
Hello. And one of our content editors, Taylor.
Hi.
And we have first the social media news of the week. We're going to start with some really hard-hitting investigative news from the world of social media, and that is that Snapchat has now unveiled lenses for dogs. What do we think about that, Taylor?
I think that you love it.
Okay, I'll tell you that I would love it, except I don't use Snapchat.
Okay.
And I don't know if my dogs would hold still for me to put a lens on them. Isn't that where it comes up with their noses and the...
Yeah. This is interesting to me because Snapchat already has filters, as you guys users know, or if you don't know, then if you are on Snapchat, if you hold down the capture button, filters pop up for you to go through, and they actually have dog filters and antlers and
hearts. I can turn myself into a dog already.
Yeah, but your dog can already, if you have someone in the screen or your dog in the screen, they already take on those filters as is. So I'm kind of curious, these added ones, kind of what the difference is.
Yeah, they're cute though. It says the lenses put butterflies on the dog's nose or pizzas on their head, if you want to put a pizza on your dog's head, or glasses on the dog.
Yeah.
So, if your dog is in your Snapchat, Billy, that might be a thing. I bet you could use these on your cat.
I was just going to say, does this work with cats? I
think all
their nose might be a little small for the butterfly, but yeah, I think you could get it on there.
It should.
So anyway, all of you try out. Oh, Finn heard the news about Finn is joining us for Social Media Help Desk. And do you want to have glasses on your Snapchat story?
Yeah.
He's not sure. He's not sure. Okay, back to sleep. So try them out. Let us know. Maybe make a comment and let us know if you've ever used these new filters and our lenses and how it works for you.
Maybe we'll see our first doggy influencer.
Yes, our first doggy influencer. That's what the world needs. Okay, more news. Facebook. Facebook is also testing something new, and that's CTA, or call to action stickers in Facebook stories, right? And so these have all the same options that you get in your cover photo on the Facebook page, which are like buy now, learn more, book now, call now,
get directions.
Get directions, yeah. So anything you can put on your Facebook page in that call to action on the cover photo, you can now put a sticker on your Facebook story and have those same buttons, and I'm assuming they're clickable and you can do all those things from there. Which is a good idea. The more you can put calls to action in content anywhere on social media, the more you're driving results or sales leads, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I feel like Facebook may be jumping the gun a little on this.
Really?
They haven't had stories that long, and we know that stories came from Instagram, which came from Snapchat, and so everybody's kind of just doing the copycat effect. And what I'm seeing with Facebook is I haven't actually seen this in action, because all I've ever seen of stories is people uploading their direct Instagram stories to Facebook, so they're essentially just duplicates. So I'm not seeing a lot of original Instagram stories being created. Facebook stories being created, yes. And so I think that's where they're hurting themselves, is they haven't mastered that yet. They haven't mastered, I think, the ease and the want of wanting to put it on Facebook originally, and not just because when you do it on Instagram, you just have the option share on Facebook, so it just goes automatically. And so without people creating them into Facebook, you're not going to be seeing those features.
Yeah, and I don't have any stats on this, but anecdotally, it does feel like people don't use Facebook stories.
Yeah.
Not as much. Like you're saying, they put it onto Instagram stories and then feed it in.
Yes.
But yeah, nobody's creating Facebook stories.
Yeah, so I think they maybe should have just kept working on just promoting the stories still before they keep rolling out all the same features that such as Instagram does.
I think when I first noticed my feed that it was mainly reposts from Instagram, I kind of stopped checking it.
Yeah.
I've never checked the Facebook stories feed. I just ignore it.
I did once. I'm like, I already saw this 5 minutes ago.
On Instagram. Yeah.
Well, because that's true, right? Because we hop around. We check our Instagram feed, and then we switch to Facebook.
But does it matter, because they own Instagram, right?
Right.
So they might not care. It might not matter.
Yeah.
Logistically.
Logistically, they do own it all. But I take your point that maybe they're trying to run before they walk there. But call to action buttons are really popular on Instagram stories. you get sales off Instagram. You know, you can drive a lot of sales that way, or leads, or whatever you're driving. So maybe they just want to capitalize on all of it at once.
Yeah.
And speaking of Instagram, we have some Instagram news for you as well. And this is kind of an oopsie, because Instagram accidentally changed everybody's feed to be a tap-through feed. Now, I didn't ever see this on my Instagram because they changed it back too quickly. But apparently, instead of a scroll, right, they changed it to a tap feed where you tap to see the next picture. And people were not having it. They were not happy at all. And so it quickly changed back. And now Instagram is calling it a bug, Billy. They're saying, we didn't mean to do that.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Get rid of Jimmy real quick.
Yeah, right, you idiot. Don't put that thing up there. But what they probably did was test it, or mean to test it with a small group of users, which is how they roll out most new features.
Yes.
They accidentally released it to everybody, and some of us were not ready.
I'm curious if that's just their excuse, or if it was just, I think that might just be a cover-up. But yeah, I think it was only live for 45 minutes, so I didn't see it. Ivana on our team here, she experienced it, and she said it was completely different. And I know that anytime Instagram has had changes from the algorithms to chronological, there's been negative feedback. So they really listen to their users, which I think is positive, but this one did not do well.
Yeah, I think it is good that they take feedback, but I also think it's interesting how upset that makes people. Like when you use this, this app every single day, and you know it and you love it and you know where the buttons are, and then they change it, people go crazy.
Yeah, it does make us sound insane for loving social that much. But to me, the tap doesn't make sense, because on the feed you scroll up, then you go back and forth, and you want to look for another post. So I don't know how you would even how would that make sense? Where would you find it? Do you know what I'm saying when you're going through it?
Yeah,
How do you go back? It just did not make sense to me.
Well, good thing for you, they've changed it.
Yes.
Back to the scrolling feed. So let's talk a little more about Instagram, Taylor. And you wrote a blog post recently about linking to an Instagram story versus linking to an Instagram post.
Yes.
Right? So walk us through that. The difference when you would use each one.
Okay, first we'll just start with what's the difference between an Instagram story versus an Instagram post. An Instagram post stays permanently on your page. We'll just say page. We all have disagreements, whether it's your grid, your feed, your profile, what we call it.
I like to call it the flow.
Or the flow.
Your flow.
Yeah, I call it a grid. Most people call it the feed. I think the home is the feed. Anyways, getting sidetracked. So an Instagram post stays permanently on your page, and an Instagram story is only live for 24 hours, which you can then archive it to your highlights reel where it can be permanent. But one's temporary, one's not. But stories are getting much more views these days because they're kind of at the top and they're popping up and they're just getting a lot more traction.
And isn't a story more like real-time interactions, like behind the scenes, this is happening now?
Yeah.
Whereas an Instagram post in the feed or on your grid is something you've maybe edited and filtered and made look nice. Aesthetics matter a lot more.
Yes.
Right? Where it can be grittier in the stories?
Yes. You can throw a heavy filter on stories now too, but they're way more live, behind the scenes, video content, boomerangs, just a little more interactive.
Okay.
I've also been seeing a lot more professional content happening there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's where all the eyeballs are right now, right?
All the eyeballs, all the video content. If you have an in-house video guy, he can easily crank these out.
Hey, we do have an in-house video
We do.
guy.
And he does.
He's behind the camera,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Andrew. All right, sorry, go ahead.
So then what we want to talk about is the blog that I had written about the difference between using a link in your story versus in your post. And that's a trick question because you can't actually link an Instagram post. You can put a link in your Instagram bio, and this is really good for businesses to put their websites, but you can also put links to different landing pages. So as you're promoting different events or different campaigns, then you would switch out that link. And when nothing's going on, you should just have your company page there. The kind of challenge with this is it's only in one place and it's not in the same place of the photo, so it requires more action. And anytime, no one wants the more someone has to do, the less chances of it getting done, know.
Human nature.
You have to say link in the bio, so then hoping they'll go and click that. But with stories, you can link to the story, and this is where you'll see the swipe up feature. However, if you're wondering why you've never seen this pop up, it's only available for users and business accounts with 10,000 or more followers.
Right.
So unless you have 10,000 followers, you're not even going to have the option to add a link. But if you do, you're in luck, because you can add a link and swipe up, and it just appears as a little icon in the top right-hand corner of where kind of the stickers and all of that is, and it's just copying and pasting, and then you can write in any way that to swipe up.
So in a normal Instagram post, if you wanted to promote something, you can't link to it.
No.
So you would say, check the link in our bio.
Yeah.
And they'd have to navigate back to the bio
Yeah.
or the profile and click that link.
Yeah.
But in Instagram stories, if you have 10,000 followers, then you can link right there. So from every story post, they can just go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I think there's a little, I'm sure when people hear about it, they're like, why can't I find the link? And I think even the whole rule of 10,000 followers was kind of hush hush. I don't know if there was like an official Instagram put out that, but it's just kind of, now it's pretty known, at least in our social media world. So that's why we're kind of spreading the word. But yeah.
All right. And then we have an interesting anecdotal story about this blog, because as you guys know, we blog every day. Right? We think blogging is really important. It's good for the SEO on your website, which we'll talk about in a second. And it's good to get information out there, be thought leaders in your field. And so we, as a team, all split up the duties, and we all write posts throughout the week. And we end up releasing about 8 posts every week. And those blog posts drive a lot of traffic to our website. In fact, we get about 30,000 hits on our website a month, and a lot of those come from our blog posts. So this is something we've done over and over again for not the 9 years we've been in business now. We've always blogged pretty much every day.
We also share our blogs across all of our social media channels and consistently throughout the week that they go live. So it's not just putting a blog up and letting it sit there either. We're promoting it heavily, but all organic.
We are promoting it heavily. We're posting it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, everywhere. And then the other thing we do, to your expertise, Billy, is that we optimize our blogs for search, right? So we put keywords in the back end so that Google knows what the blogs are about. And we say, hey, Google, when people search for these things, show them this post. So all of that is part of our system, because we try to drink our own Kool-Aid, and we would tell you to do that for your business. And it turns out that over time, this is really effective for not only driving people to our website, but we just got a new client who's located in Colorado, and they called us, and they said that they called us because they read this blog that Taylor wrote, and they were impressed with Taylor's knowledge and her ability to explain things. You can see that blog on our website if you want to go check it out. But they actually called the agency and ended up hiring us and came through that blog post. So for those of you who feel like you're out there blogging every week and you're trying to do the best you can, but what is this really good for? Is it ever going to lead to anything? It is a real method of lead generation, and it is how, we get 10 to 15 leads a week off our website, and many of them come through our blog posts. Many of them find us that way in a search, or they're searching for a specific topic or some expertise, and ends up keeping them on our site to read the posts, and then eventually they call, which is good. So that's one of our favorite anecdotal stories of the week. Anything you guys want to share about best practices for blogging if people want to make sure their blog is going to work for them? For me, one of my best tips would be post the same time every week. You're doing this for SEO purposes, and Google likes patterns. And so if you're going to blog once a week, blog every Tuesday or every Thursday, but don't switch the day. Make sure it's the same day every week, because Google likes that.
Along with the time, too.
Yeah, the time.
Yeah. Blog at noon on Tuesday.
Yeah, or 8:10, which is what we do. But yes, at the same time every day, Google really likes to recognize those patterns.
I also think adding an image or a medium to your blog really helps it. Sometimes I'll get a case where I'll send a blog and they don't want the image with a client, but the image is so important, because otherwise you're just putting out a ton of text and it doesn't really make sense. And I think another thing with the images that we always talk about at KWSM is they don't have to be literal. Like if I'm talking about Instagram links, it doesn't have to be like a link to the Instagram. Same within this blog, it's a chain link fence, or we do something kind of like, not edgy, but it makes sense, but it doesn't have to be obvious. So you can kind of get a little creative and artsy with the photo that you use. But I think just using a photo with every blog is super important.
Yeah. It gets attention, but also then we pin our blogs to Pinterest.
Yes.
And you need a photo that goes with it.
Yeah.
Right? It helps people click on it more.
It's a way to share it on Instagram too, because if you don't have an image, there's no way to be like, hey, there's a link in our bio,
Yeah.
And you don't want to be scrolling on Twitter or Facebook too much where it's just text or copy heavy.
So images are good. What were you going to say, Billy?
You can do all that stuff and it's all great, but if you're missing your metadata, things aren't going to go well.
It always comes back to the metadata.
Always comes back to the nerd stuff, doesn't it? So you really want to make sure that you're using the proper headlines for everything, that you're using, that you're linking things correctly, and then you're also not linking. Another problem that can mess up your SEO is broken links, which if you have been blogging for a long time, like we've got blogs going all the way to 2013, I believe. 2010.
Yeah.
And I've been dealing with a lot of legacy sites recently where like a lot of the things that they're linked to don't exist.
Yeah.
So there are tools that you can use. There's a brokenlinkchecker.com. There's also some Chrome extensions that you can add directly to Chrome to help you find those broken links and then just remove the link. Unfortunately, you can't go back and find the original article. It's just gone.
So it's better to just take the link out, right? Or to go back into the old blogs and remove the link if it's gone?
Yeah, then it won't show because there's nothing to link to anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and what you're saying is broken links actually hurt us in Google's eyes.
Yes.
Right? They ding us for credibility there.
Yeah, every single one you'll get dinged a little bit. So if you on a recent site, I think I've had like 50 or something broken links because they were really old and they just weren't tended to.
Well, I mean, that's a topic for another day, but a point in the favor of keeping your website up to date, right?
Yeah.
Because, what good is a website if people can't find it online? You have to have the search engine optimization. You have to have it be Google friendly or search friendly. And if you're not monthly updating your website, keeping those links up to date, then you're hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about why, if I have this website and it's not showing up in search, what could be hurting me? We've touched on a couple of them with our blogging discussion. Metadata is what tells Google what the website's about.
Yeah, metadata is how Google reads your site. It doesn't really see how it's laid out. It just scans all the data, and if it sees what it's looking for, it gives you points for that.
Yeah.
And it is looking for, when you're blogging, you have to use your H1 tags and your H2 tags. You also have to make sure that you don't have to have an image caption, but it's very nice. It really does help. You also have to make sure you do have an alt tag for your image. That's very important.
Well, because Google can't see the picture, so you're telling it what the picture's of, right?
And that also helps with your accessibility scores.
For ADA,
For ADA compliance, you also need to have those. So a lot of the SEO and ADA stuff kind of goes hand in hand because it's the same bots reading all your scripts.
And if you're at home going, okay, well that's great, but how do I decide what
I know, I was like,
what to
speak
put
in a
in the
different
metadata?
language, yeah.
Google has great tools. So there's the Google keyword tool. So literally just Google keyword tool and you'll find it. And you can put words that you think are keywords about your business in there, and it will generate a list of search terms that you might want to optimize for based on what people are actually typing into Google. Yeah. So you don't have to ideate all the terms. Google will tell you, here's the popular ones. And those are the ones you use to build the back end keywords.
Yeah. I know that one thing that we've been talking about around here is for your headlines is not so much like a snappy title,
cutesy,
but think about how your client's going to be searching for it.
Asking questions.
How to fix this problem.
Yeah.
That kind of
Well, we talked about that in team meeting this morning because we're all creative writers, right? We like to be catchy, but
sometimes too.
Yeah, sometimes too much creative. But people aren't searching for those posts. So really, Taylor's post here is called
it's so basic.
What is the difference between linking to an Instagram post or to an Instagram story?
But I had brought up that was not my original caption or headline for this story, and when Katie caught it, she was the one who actually changed it, so now I'm crediting it to her. That because of the searchable headline, it was found and it's doing really well.
I think, especially when you're starting off, straightforward is better. Yeah. Just write what it's about, so when people are searching for that information, they know that this post is the answer.
I think that's a good advice across all social medias. Sometimes you'll get ahead of yourself, or I want to be too catchy or too witty or too into this or and sometimes you just have to, keep it simple, and it works really well.
Right.
Google's also starting to read all the link names or all the link text. So like they're starting to ding me for like learn more, click here, and they want a more specific name. So
like,
a name related to whatever you're linking to.
See the schedule of our boot camp instead of like
or just,
click here
like
to learn. Yeah.
Boot camp schedule or something like that.
Okay.
Speaking of.
So those, hang on, we'll get there. So those words should be the clickable words.
Yes.
Okay, so what words you're linking actually matter.
Yes.
And it should be descriptive of where you're going to go
it's
when you
going.
click the link.
That's within. I started seeing that showing up in the Lighthouse Google Chrome tools that I've just started to see that in the past couple of weeks. Maybe
Okay.
even last week, yeah.
All right, so that's important. And then the last thing we were going to talk about for SEO is duplicate content. Sometimes content gets similar across different websites, or this is the reason we don't take our blogs and put them on 10 different websites, right? Because Google would see that as the same blog, right? Talk about that in the context of a website, can you?
I would say just like really try and make sure that your developer has done a pretty clean job making sure that there aren't things like test page 2, like that sort of thing. Even though it might be on the back end, it's still not the best thing to have in there. And to like make sure that all of your page titles, it's not like page 2, page 3. It really wants to be a title of like, again, more like a question, like that kind of.
So I have a question actually, because I'm working on some pages with some clients, but if you duplicate a page because you want a similar looking page and then that page is live, is that bad for your website?
It's fine as long as you change the title and change the content.
Well, and the copy on the page, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the ways this comes up for me is like, even if you look at our KWSM website, we have our service offerings and there's little boxes about each service and it has a little blurb. But then when you click through to the page, we don't just have that blurb again. There's new writing because that would be duplicate content and that would hurt the quality score.
Yeah, I guess what I was referring to is you duplicate it to get the aesthetics, the same header, footer, all that images. That is fine.
That's standard
more like
practice, right?
Yeah, that's more like a template. You're fine. It's more looking for the content within that template.
Got it. That's great.
All right. Well, good tips. SEO is important, and one thing we really like to do is audit websites for SEO. So if you are not sure your website's optimized properly, send us an email. You can use tips@kwsmdigital.com and just send us the link to your website, and we're happy to take a look and tell you if we think there's some opportunities to optimize that better. Billy, you'd do that for them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you bet.
Absolutely. Send it on over. All right. Well, that's our show for today, but a couple of things we wanted to let you know before we go. We do a class here called Social Media Bootcamp, and it happens only 3 times a year, and it is coming up in February. So if you're watching this, mark your calendar. Every Friday in February from 9 to noon here at our office in Aliso Viejo, California, we will do Social Media Bootcamp, and there are classes on Facebook, Instagram and Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so we'll do a deep dive into how to best use those channels, how to optimize them for search, how to create content, what kind of content you should be sharing, and you'll walk out of here with a full strategy about really how to use those channels. People bring their laptops, they work on the channels in class, and we will lean over their shoulders and help them with them. And the class is limited to about 12 people. So like I said, we only do it 3 times a year. We've taught it now 3 times a year for 9 years, and it always sells out. So if you're interested, go to the link on our website, sign up for the class, and hopefully we'll see you here. And if you happen to be watching us from the location of one of our other offices in Atlanta or Las Vegas or anywhere else in the country, you can tune in live to a webinar version of it. So that might be helpful as well. But certainly let us know if you're interested in that. And then we'll be back for this show next Tuesday at 12:30 Pacific Time, 3:30 Eastern Time. If you need more tips and advice between now and then, go to our blog. Like we said, we blog every day. Taylor's blog is there. You can find the blog post we've been talking about. It's at kwsmdigital.com. And then we also have a YouTube channel. That one's KWSM Team. And there you'll find past episodes of this show and then also our tip of the day videos and some other good stuff. We put lots of stuff up there. So please check out all of those and leave us a comment if you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.